All right, I'm here in Monticello, Maine, and behind me you can see this gigantic antenna. It's a shortwave radio antenna, and World's Last Chance is the station that sponsored this whole thing. They're spreading a flat Earth message while using an antenna that relies on the curvature of the globe to get its message out. I'm going to show you the proof here. All right, here we have the antenna that you can see here on the screen. That's the one that you saw over my shoulder there when we were actually out on the road near this thing. You can just kind of get an idea of how big this thing is. Couldn't get a real good scale of it when I was there on the road, but that thing there I guess is like a shipping container thing, so this is a huge antenna. But it says here WAGM features WBCQ's multi-million-dollar shortwave station installation. We'll be looking at where the money comes from for this project here in a little bit. But just to show you here at the very beginning that they are using globe Earth technology to get out a flat Earth message, which is utter hypocrisy. And I mean, you'd think an antenna this big could just shoot the whole way across the Earth because it's flat and kind of bounce off the ice wall and come back around, I guess, or something. But here's an article, the Center for Land Use Interpretation, and it goes into shortwave in the United States and broadcasting to everyone else mostly. But let's read here. It says the radio station in South Carolina for WHRI, known as World Harvest Radio, we'll get back to that here coming up, is one of several large commercial and religious shortwave broadcasters with facilities in the USA used to transmit programming to the rest of the world. From Google Earth there. Shortwave is very long in its range and very directional. It reflects off the layer of charged atoms in the ionosphere, so broadcasters point their antenna arrays toward their intended target audience, even if they are thousands of miles away, and angle the signal upward so it bounces off the ionosphere at the right point to come back down to Earth over the target area, skipping over the curvature of the globe. Just real quick here. World's Last Chance. They're the people that are the ones behind this whole thing. Completely satanic, false religion here. We'll get into that later. But right there it is, the flat Earth thing. And yet right here it's saying that they use the curvature of the globe. Yeah, okay. So right there, video's over. You don't need to see any more. We're going to be showing you a lot more information in this video. But there you have it. Just
yes.
Total hypocrisy. All you flat earthers out there, they're falling for that psyop or part of the psyop. Yeah, they're admitting here that, oh, we have to use the curvature of the globe, shoot it up off the ionosphere to compensate for the curve of the globe. Yeah, nice. Shortwave also is affected by interference from near frequencies and from solar activity, making it advantageous to shift frequencies based on other global broadcasts and time of day. It is not generally used for broadcasting inside the USA, as we have developed more stable and regionally based systems for this, such as AM, FM, VHF, and UHF. Shortwave, technically high frequency, is used instead to send programming beyond the nation's borders. For years it was not even permitted to be used for audiences in the United States. Kind of a globalist way to get the message out there, using globalist methods to get out a thing about shortwave or flat Earth.
No.
Terrible. The U.S. government's Agency for Global Media's Voice of America facility at Greenville, North Carolina, is the largest shortwave radio broadcasting facility in the USA, but it's not the only one. There are dozens of others, including those that come and go with periodic programming. The largest and most powerful ones are for religious broadcasting operated by Christian missionary organizations and targeted at places like South America. Indeed, audio and radio equipment companies founded by missionaries like Crown International have often led the way in increasing the durability, power, and reach of amplifiers and transmitters. Since the audience is outside the country, continental U.S.-based transmitters tend to be located on the edge of the country that is closest to the overseas target area, though some distance inland also works given the long reach of shortwave, which is explaining the radio station there in Monticello, Maine, which we showed. Stations in the southeastern USA, for example, can have antennas pointed south towards the Caribbean and South America, as well as east to Europe and Africa. The largest licensed commercial and religious shortwave broadcasting stations in the country include, we won't go through all of them, but I just want to look at the first one here. WEWN, Irondale, Alabama. The World Eternal Word Network is a powerful Catholic shortwave broadcasting station located in Irondale, Alabama, outside of Birmingham. I thought that they said it was Christian.
I thought so too.
Christians with these shortwave radios. No, it's a bunch of heretics. With 4 500,000-watt transmitters broadcasting English programming to Africa, India, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, and Spanish programs to the Caribbean, Mexico, and Central and South America. It is owned by Eternal Word Television Network, which was founded by Mother Angelica, a Birmingham-based Catholic nun who became a religious television personality. You can find her stuff on YouTube.
Whoa.
I'm not going to look that up, but you get down through here, and right there you have it, WBCQ, Monticello, Maine. The WBCQ, The Planet, is a shortwave station in northern Maine that transmits a wide, perhaps the widest variety of programs on legal shortwave. It is the only licensed non-pirate shortwave station dedicated to free speech and is managed by former pirate radio broadcaster Alan Weiner. Okay, we'll get back to that here in just a minute. Right there. There he is and his wife, I guess. There they are. There he is, look, with the antenna thing above him. And yeah, we'll talk more about him here in a minute. But it says here, in 1986, Weiner became well known for operating an unlicensed radio station on a ship in international waters off the shore of New York City, which was raided by federal authorities within a few days and destroyed. Since then, he has built up a powerful free speech shortwave and AM station that broadcasts legally on property he owns in Monticello, Maine. He has a 500,000-watt Continental transmitter and a few additional 50,000-watt transmitters. Programming, especially religious programming, pays the electric bills, but WBCQ will consider almost any content that is sent to them. All right. But it's not just a thing, we just have certain ones or whatever. I'll show you at the end of the video that they actually have out in front World's Last Chance Radio. So it's them, they're the ones that own it. But go ahead, you can talk here.
I just want to add that the AM station called WREM is also known as WXME, which is tied in with WBCQ.
Which one? The one there in Florida? Or no, which one is the other one? Okay, well,
I have it on my notes.
All right, so there's other ones that are affiliated with it. That's the whole point of the thing here. But going back up to, do we want to go to the World Harvest thing now?
Yes.
Okay, and it says radio station in South Carolina for WHRI known as World Harvest Radio, right there in the article. So let's go to this, to the World Harvest Radio here. This is from a while back. It's on the Wayback Machine thing here, but this is what they originally had. World Harvest Radio. Shortwave radio is one of the most powerful tools the body of Christ has to proclaim the gospel message to the almost 7 billion people in the world. Shortwave radio can cross borders, close to missionaries, and reach into the homes of people who desire a broader source of information that they cannot receive in any other format. This essential form of ministry brings teaching, inspiration, music, and discipleship to people in desperate need. World Harvest Radio's 6 transmitters ensure that gospel programming reaches every major continent. Sounds good, but then when you actually look into a lot of the stuff that's being broadcasted, it's completely heretical. But it's interesting here, this thing of there's 6 transmitters. And here you get into this thing of what these transmitters are. They call them angels. Kind of weird there, these different things are angels, and you can see the different angel things here and whatever else. And then
nothing to it.
No, there's nothing spiritual going on there.
No.
Another article about World Harvest Radio, and here they're talking about the different angels, different antennas, and they go over some things. Was there anything you wanted to show in this?
Yes, and it ties in with this article that I need to make a couple of notes about because I forgot to mention it because they tie in together. But World Harvest Radio's first angel, WHRI, signed on to the air for the first time on Christmas Day in 1985 from Noblesville, Indiana. And originally, they used one transmitter to broadcast to Europe, so this is why the transmitter information is important to understand. 13 hours a day, and to South America the other 11 hours. Then they added a second transmitter, Angel 2, and it goes on to say how then they added Angel 3 because each transmitter that was added has been used to broadcast to different parts of the world. And so each transmitter, so to speak, Angel per se, is for a specific purpose, because the whole point of shortwave radio broadcasts is to reach locations outside of the location it's housed in. So think of it in terms of military jargon. Shortwave radio broadcasting is a type of OCONUS technology, for those of you who are veterans. Whereas
Define OCONUS for those who are not.
outside the continental United States is what OCONUS means. And so that is the whole goal of shortwave radio broadcasting. And so then they go on to talk about how they added Angel 3 covering China and Eastern Asia. Then they added more antennas with our 12 antennas WHRI.
Which paragraph is that
In June of 2004, right here. Go up a little bit. They talk about Angel 5, purchased in Bangor, Maine in 1998 to gain coverage in Africa and the Middle East. See how each transmitter has a specific purpose for the location and the goal behind it. In June of 2004, World Harvest Radio purchased one of the premier shortwave facilities in the world, which are tied in with governments, the Catholic Church, and the Vatican, because the other article, Shortwave in the USA, talked about how these different locations are the largest licensed commercial and religious shortwave broadcasting stations, and it's tied in with the Catholic Church, the Navy, the American Forces Network.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover between the military and religion with this whole thing, and it's kind of odd.
Yes, and they talk about running these transmitters at 250 kilowatts daily, currently from WHRI, still in this paragraph.
Okay.
We have 2 transmitters with 500 kilowatt capabilities. They talk about running these transmitters daily. We also have 1 transmitter which we run at 100 kilowatts with our 12 antennas. Interesting number, of course. WHRI sends our shortwave programming all over the world, because that is the point of shortwave. Broadcast outside of the country the equipment is housed in. And so...
Which, you know, you go back to, I just have to cut in here, you go back to like the CIA and things and what they were doing. They broadcast messages, they put propaganda into other countries and things. And of course the other countries have their own intelligence networks that put information into our countries as well. You know, communistic messages through the universities and whatever else. So it's all part of psychological warfare operations is what it is. So, oh, no, it's Christian. Oh, yeah, okay. You mean like the Christian missionaries that went into areas that couldn't be conquered by Rome? So they sent in the Roman Catholic missionaries? Not a whole lot changes, just the technology behind it.
Amen.
So
then they continue on in this article by saying WHRI can be heard in North America, including Canada, the US, and Mexico, which ties in with what we've been saying.
right here. Yeah.
Yes. We transmit into the Caribbean, Central and South America, which ties back to the transmitter information regarding location and where it broadcasts. Our antennas go into Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. From WHRI, we also have an antenna that reaches into Australia. So it's using very long frequencies to reach all these distant locations. Again, proving the OCONUS, the outside of the home country capabilities.
But they're having to remember what we read earlier in this article right here. They're having to bounce it off of the ionosphere to compensate for the curvature of the globe.
Yes.
So keep that in mind the whole way through this thing. All right. Um, so,
Um,
say,
and
oh, they can reach these other countries because the Earth is flat. No, that's not what they're doing, and they admit to it.
mhm. Then it continues on to talk about their locations called Angel 1, 2, and 6. And they receive letters from listeners all around the world talking about how they have some of the strongest shortwave signals in the world. This is why their technology reaches to the most remote locations, and they essentially brag about it because this is part of their PSYOP, psychological operations mission or vision. So in September of 2008, World Harvest Radio purchased another premier shortwave facility. Again, it's tied into governments, the Catholic Church, the Vatican, the military. So when they talk about purchasing another premier shortwave facility, it's tied in with the largest commercial shortwave broadcasting stations in this country. And it's located on the island of Palau, situated roughly 2,000 miles from the coast of China. You can see how it's developing here in terms of why they want all these transmitters broadcasting in different directions. This station provided us with superior signals into Asia and the South Pacific. We closed our station in Hawaii, and our facility in Palau ran all of our Asia transmissions. Notice their wording. With Angel 3, Angel 4, and Angel 5. So they're showing the location and the purpose of each transmitter. Then they continue on by saying we had 3 100 kilowatt transmitters and 3 dedicated antennas transmitting into all of China, Japan, the Koreas, the South Pacific, including the Philippines and Indonesia. Our Southeast Asia antenna was heard in India, southern China, Thailand, Vietnam, Myanmar, Laos, and Cambodia. And they're very prideful of their technology, from what I'm seeing here. And maybe I'm, out in left field. They wouldn't be prideful of their technology, do you think?
No, not at all.
The
Catholic Church is not about pride, honey. You need to learn these things.
That's true.
Wearing gold, in robes and whatever. Yeah, that's anyhow. But let's continue here.
On October 27th of 2019, the Palau facility was closed and Angels 3, 4, and 5 transmitting into Asia went off air. So you can see why the transmitter information webpage in the previous tab only shows Angel 1, Angel 2, Angel 6 transmitter information, because this article we're at with the About page talks about why they went to 6 transmitters for a while and now they're back down to 3 transmitters. And so we continue to operate from WHRI in South Carolina, which is what you're seeing here. And they say World Harvest Radio continues to provide quality Christian radio programming that literally reaches all over the world. The purpose of shortwave. With an estimated 1 billion shortwave receivers in the world, we believe that shortwave radio is vitally important to the kingdom of God. And they talk about contacting them if you want to be part of proclaiming the word of the Lord, as they say, to the billions of people in the world with your radio programming. So,
yeah. So there's that. But here's their website, World's Last Chance Radio, and they're, they get into a lot of different things here and whatever else. And they're different radio broadcasts and things that they do. So there's their website. And I'll be doing a separate video on the doctrines, the false doctrines that they teach. It's insane. They reject that Jesus is God. So many different things. There's, heaven is not where we go when we die. There's no eternal burning in hell. They're non-dispensational. Just it's completely lost. And that right there's their beliefs, which I said I'll be going over in another video. But should we go to this one next?
Real quickly, did you mention this statement of World Harvest Radio's 6 transmitters ensure that gospel programming reaches every major continent?
Well, but you just said
Okay.
it, Okay, so we want to go to this one here. And
Yes.
This is a
Well,
interview with Alan Weiner in May 21st, 2025 about the World's Last Chance Radio.
I'm sorry, we're actually on the wrong tab because we went through.
Okay, let's do this one
Okay,
here.
this is the one about Alan Weiner's background. Okay.
Yeah, let's just get through this one really quickly here. We're not going to go through every little fine detail here. I just want to get into a few things here quickly. Okay.
This is my printout of the article.
Right, I get that.
So for this one, they even talk about in this interview.
Okay, Michael Lewinger. Right there, it's kind of an interesting thing. It says here, episode 1 was a deep dive into the role shortwave played as a propaganda tool in the 20th century, first in the Second World War, and then throughout the Cold War. War. So yeah, it's military psychological warfare operations. I have to just tell this story quickly. A guy I knew was going to a church building years ago, and the Sunday school teacher was actually a retired military guy, and he talked about when they went into Iraq that one of the first things they did is they took over the radio stations, our military, to start broadcasting propaganda. So yes, it's a very old thing that they've been doing. But anyhow, let's go here.
It talks about.
We don't need to get into all the stuff that they did in the boat and whatever else.
Well, what they originally called themselves before they called themselves
Where's that at?
WBCQ. Announcer 1.
Music, answer 1.
Right here.
Okay. This is pretty thing here. Radio New York International, they call themselves, with a rock and roll accent and a pacifist beat. Is what he originally, I guess, Alan Weiner's thing was originally about. So he was originally tied to New York City. We'll talk more about that as we continue. Where are we going next?
And this is their code term, I guess, for the Radio New York International. I guess it's their call sign.
Something
is how
like
they
that.
call it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it continues on.
You can read this article if you really are interested in
Yes.
it. We're not going to go through the whole thing.
To talk about how they basically canceled Radio New York International died, but then they changed it to, in the late 1990s, Alan the Pirate won, and in 1998 he launched WBCQ.
Okay. So, again, he had this boat that he was broadcasting things illegally and whatever, but they, Alan the Pirate won in 1998. He launched WBCQ. Okay, so there's that, and then of course he's financed by this World's Last Chance Radio to build this massive antenna that we've been talking about and shown. Is this it right here?
Yes, just up here. Last episode. Well, this is also very important. This season is all about shortwave radio, how it went from a utopian experiment. Get a hold of that term. Utopian experiment in global communication.
If you don't know, there's a book called The Jewish Utopia where the Jews basically take over the world without Jesus Christ. Yeah, they bring in the millennial kingdom basically themselves, which is what Jesus Christ warned about, which is one of the reasons they wanted to kill him. And they ended up doing that, but they didn't understand that you can't kill God.
Then in the next paragraph, and of course they talk about how this shortwave radio industry is competing against the internet era. Because Right here, the story of one station and one man that tells us a lot about shortwave in the internet era. So you can see how technology has progressed over the years. And here in this paragraph, they talk about how shortwave took a hit when the internet came around. Lots of stations closed, but WBCQ was just getting started. Today it's one of the highest powered, privately owned broadcasting facilities on Earth. How did Alan Weiner pull it off? The answer has to do with an absolutely giant antenna, which you've seen pictures of, that reaches every continent.
Like that.
And how that antenna came to be up there in rural Maine, and what it broadcasts. That was one of the most unexpected stories, as it's written here. Because at WBCQ today, it's not all peace and love. And you can understand
why.
why.
No, it's the hippie thing. Far from it.
They claim to be about peace and love, but you're using military technology to reach people outside of your home country where the equipment is located. The whole purpose of shortwave is psychological operations. So how can you claim peace and love? Yeah.
But there they actually are talking about the directions to the place. So that it's not a secret facility or something. Oh, we shouldn't be showing it. They're very, open about where it's at. There's some profanity in there. Sorry about that. But they're Christian monitoring. They're getting the message of Jesus Christ out while using profanity. You always have to love that.
Then it goes on to talk here about Alan's friend.
Another friend of Alan's had been an engineer at the U.S.-based Christian Science Monitor shortwave station, which used to broadcast news and information to Eastern Europe during the Cold War.
Rather interesting. Again, showing the hypocrisy of their supposed message of peace and love, but it's not. Then it goes down to say this whole solar eclipse that happened is the eye of God.
Which
and
is
it happened to occur right over the WBCQ radio station, as they talk about in this article.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Then it goes on to say that they have a 30-second underwriting announcement, which basically means insurance.
Yeah. We won't need to get into all that stuff. There's a lot of other stuff. Okay, so where are we at here?
Where the host...
There's a lot to go through here, so...
Right here.
Okay, host Katie Thornton says, Alan's father was Jewish, and Alan was mostly raised Jewish, though his mother was Roman Catholic. But Alan thought of himself as a free thinker, a First Amendment warrior, and having Nazis as paying customers posed no ethical dilemmas for him, at least not at first. In other words, he'll sell airtime to whoever. But that's before he had the big mega antenna. The big mega antenna was sponsored by a particular man that we'll get to in just a minute here, the owner of World's Last Chance Radio. But isn't it interesting, the old Fifth Kingdom thing there, the mingled Jews and the Roman Catholics working together. So this WBCQ is run by somebody that's basically a Fifth Kingdom person, obviously not understanding that whole thing, but still, funny how the scriptures are proven right again.
Amen.
But
then they talk about later on they discuss this Brother Stare, but there was some issues with him. He was a pervert essentially, but also a philanthropist. And they also talk about the Overcomer radio broadcast being tied in with this, and that's part of the Brother Stare ministry, but I guess he died a few years ago. Then they talk about, further on down, how they got a sudden cash injection to fund their operations.
Where's that at?
Where does it talk about the music thing?
There's a lot to go through.
Okay, go down because this is about Brother Stare. Go down a little more. Alright, now we're getting close. All right, hold on. A little. Okay, right here.
Okay.
This is interesting. Right before the break, I was telling you about how WBCQ was struggling financially. Remember his history of being a pirate radio broadcaster?
Alan Weiner's history of it.
And all of a sudden, that's changed in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Get a hold of this.
Okay, WBCQ got a many-million-dollar cash injection and that massive new antenna. It can pump out 500 kilowatts of power, 10 times as much as WBCQ's other signals. The town's electric system wasn't even powerful enough to support it. Allen offered to split the cost of rewiring with the local government. We remember that. We were driving through the area when they were rewiring it. It was, what's going on here? This is weird.
Mm-hmm. They rewired the town.
Yeah, the whole
we
town
saw
of
it in
Monticello.
person.
Yeah.
With the huge cables.
Yeah, it heads up, the big cables that go up to basically the town of Littleton. There's a little power station there.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about the antenna weighing 200 tons and it's gigantic at its base, like one of those redwood trees that you can drive through. Except the electromagnetic frequencies this beast emits are known to jam up cars' computer systems and stall them out. So you can't drive even near it.
Mm-hmm.
To anchor the antenna, they had to get a host of cement trucks to come in and put a footing down, 40 by 40 feet wide and 12 solid feet deep.
Interesting number again.
That's pretty interesting. The antenna is fully rotatable, sitting on a gargantuan ring bearing that can be turned to point in any direction, beaming shortwave radio signals to any continent on Earth.
Mm-hmm. And this is another interesting thing they admit to. Hold on.
Right here?
Yes.
Okay, and here he's talking about different things, and Alan Weiner says, yes, but listen to it. It's like a fine watch. Talking about it moving. They're going to the UK now. I think this is the only privately owned 500 kilowatter in the world, because most of the 500 kilowatters that I know are either owned by the Catholic Church, the Vatican, or governments.
Remember the original Shortwave article disproving the flat Earth with globe-based technology?
Yeah.
That we discussed earlier.
And here he's saying about it's $8 million basically for the thing, which is insane.
And here it continues where they admit when the windfall came, WBCQ also got a bespoke new studio and transmitter building outfitted with an apartment for a live-in engineer, because you have to continually monitor the whole system for problems, maintenance, PMCS as they say in the military. People in the shortwave world had one question. Who paid for this? How did WBCQ, with their transmitters in falling down shacks, goes along with the pirate broadcasting mission, and a broadcast studio in a single-wide trailer, become a swanky, world-class, enormously high-powered shortwave station? It turns out Alan's new backer was a group called World's Last Chance. See how it's tying together?
There it talks about World's Last Chance Radio. They're an ultra-conservative Christian end times ministry. They're not Christian. And they preach, among other things, that the earth is flat. We're talking flat earth. In the Bible, the earth is flat and God tells you so. No, he doesn't. That's a complete and total lie. But they go back into the whole thing here. But here he says about how that they came to us, but they wanted a superpower. We really want to be with your station because you're free speech. I said, well, we can get you on the air. It's 50 kilowatts, blah, blah, blah. They said, no, we don't want that. We want more power. I said, well, how much more power? At least 500,000 watts. I said, we'd have to build that, and we'd have to charge you for it and all that. That's millions of dollars, you know what I mean. They said, fine. Well, that afternoon, they wired me $30,000. I said, okay, these people are serious.
You mentioned this thing about Galal Doss right here.
Oh, no, I missed that. I'm sorry. World's Last Chance was started in 2004 by an Egyptian cosmetics and food magnate turned religious leader named Galal Doss. All right? That's the important thing there. We could go over a whole lot of other stuff. Weird stuff that they believe in and whatever. But I want to focus on this Galal Doss guy now, if we can.
And
okay, so we go to the. Should we go to this thing here? Who is this Galal Doss guy?
All right.
This is the really good part. Okay, I mean, you have the Jew Catholic guy running the radio station, but who is it that financed him?
We'll go to the...
Here?
Yes.
Okay.
And here, background.
Okay, here you have Galal Doss, Egyptian lawyer, partner of principal investigator, CHE Emory, specializing in the field of general practice, corporate taxation, insurance, and labor relations law trials. But there he was born in Egypt, and here you have college, Ste Familie, whatever, Cairo, Egypt, Bachelor of Arts, 1953. Seemingly doesn't seem too bad, does it? But what does this mean? The thing there, Ste Familie, whatever. What does it mean? Well, let's go to their website and find out. I have to get this thing. Okay, there we can actually read it. All right. Was it in French or something?
Yes.
Okay. Basically, it says the Jesuits arrived in Egypt in 1879 and made the mission there and whatever. So the history of this college of De La Sainte Familie or whatever, it's a Jesuit school.
Yes.
So Galal Doss, who's financing this, he's a trained Jesuit.
Yes, and a lawyer on top of that. A trained Jesuit lawyer. And notice, well, I can't read French very well, but here's why his school is so significant. Because it is a private French Catholic international school for boys run by the Near East province of the Society of Jesus in Cairo, Egypt. It was founded in 1879, as we already mentioned, following a request by Pope Leo XIII for a seminary to help prepare students to become priests. So it's interesting how a lawyer goes to this Jesuit school, and I have to wonder if he had aspirations to become a priest at some point and then decided on being a lawyer instead.
No, he just wanted to run a big radio program to make people think the earth is flat.
Sure.
And again, we've been talking about this and thinking about this, and I thought, the Bible talks about the false prophet in the book of Revelation, chapter 13, that he makes fire come down from heaven, and he's doing all these wonders in heaven and things. And I have to think, there's probably some tie into the flat earth thing with this. I don't know. Still studying this whole thing, but that's pretty much it, I think, isn't it? Of what we needed to cover. So
I think so.
But there you have it. The big WBCQ's multi-million-dollar shortwave radio station, financed by a Jesuit, run by a Fifth Kingdom Jew / Catholic, and using the curvature of the globe, bouncing the signals off the ionosphere and the curvature of the globe to broadcast a flat Earth message. So, pretty insane, if you ask me. But we'll take you back down to the street of where it's actually at, and a few closing things, and I'll show you the sign out front of the radio station. So there you have it. How about that? Isn't that nice? Using globe Earth technology to get out a flat Earth message. Hypocrisy at its finest. Here's another view of it. You can actually see World's Last Chance Ministry, WBCQ radio, transmitting facilities. 172 Britain Road, Monticello, Maine. That's my dog in the background if you're hearing that. But there it is. The giant, what we call the death ray antenna. Big, huge thing. Pretty insane.